The phrase white Christian nationalism has been in the headlines quite a bit recently, but what does it really mean? Laura Barón Lopez recently spoke to one expert to better understand the concept and its reach in American society.
Brad Onishi is a former evangelical minister who once identified as a Christian nationalist himself. He left the church in 2005 and began studying religion from the outside, including extremism. He now hosts the popular podcast Straight White American Jesus and is the author of Preparing for War, the extremist history of white Christian nationalism and what comes next. I began by asking him what that term actually means.
For those of you that's been following me for a while, you know we've talked about Christian nationalism for the last several years and the dangers of it. And this video that you just saw the clip, I'm going to play the rest of it for you and we'll get into another clip or two. Because many of you have asked, what is it? A lot of people don't understand exactly what is it. And I think that this guy right here makes it one of the more simplistic explanations of it. So let's go listen to the rest of this, and then we need to talk.
Christian nationalism is an ideology that is based around the idea that this is a Christian nation, that this was founded as a Christian nation, and therefore it should be a Christian nation today and should be so in the future. According to survey data, Christian nationalists agree with statements like the federal government should declare the United States of America a Christian nation. Our laws should be based on Christian values. Being a Christian is important if you want to be a real American.
Onishi tracks a number of subgroups and ideas under the umbrella of white Christian nationalism, including what's known as the New Apostolic Reformation.
Well, the New Apostolic Reformation is notable for a number of reasons. One, it's built around the idea that Christians are called to a new transformation or reformation of the United States. These are Christians who want to revolutionize the way that our country looks and to make it great again in terms of being a Christian nation. They also are deeply invested in the notion of spiritual warfare, the idea that we are called as Christians to fight a cosmic battle between good and evil, and that it's our duty to be boots on the ground for God in that conflict. What this has led to some decades later is the New Apostolic Reformation leaders, the apostles and the prophets that are really at the head of this movement, were some of the earliest to support Donald Trump in 2016, and they've remained steadfast in that support. They were at the very avant-garde of trying to get the 2020 election overturned in the wake of Joe Biden's victory and mobilizing folks to be at January 6th. There were hundreds, if not thousands, of New Apostolic Reformation Christians at January 6th, as an example.
So yeah, as you see, as he explained what Christian nationalism is, but you know, I've titled it, some other people have titled it, I've called this version of religion where they want to shove it down people's throats. The Christian Taliban is what they are. They're the Gestapos. And you know, these folks want to force their perverted version of Christianity upon people. That's why them trying to gain a foothold with the 10 Commandments, them trying to do all of these various things, they want to take total control with their perverted version of Jesus. Because this is not the same Jesus that we studied in the scriptures. This is not the same Jesus that walked over 2,000 years ago that died on the cross. These folks are Pharisees. These folks are dangerous. And this is what they're trying to do. They're trying to take over. Just like, you know, take a look at this picture. This is what Afghanistan looked like. Look at the ladies. Beautiful. Many of them, the freedom. People would travel there for vacation and all of that before all of it, the war broke, all of that, the Taliban takes over. And, you know, a lot has went on. You know, America's always had its nose in various things, and we won't get into that. But this is where they are going.
The only way to start the return to moral order in this country is by force. It's the only way. It's the only way. It has to be by force, at least for a time. We have to regulate morality by force, at least for a time. It's literally the only solution. And people have to start to realize that It is the faith in God, Christian understanding of morality. It has to be the foundation. And this is not going to be done by choice. It's just not at first. It's not going to be done by choice at first.
Men must be born again of the Father. They must return to the Father, because until they return to the Father, the woman will rule. And as you know, every time you listen to the woman, you're going to suffer. A man has no business to listen to a woman.
In a nutshell, in general, I don't want to see women in the public sphere. You mean they shouldn't hold political office? Correct. You mean you don't want to see them podcasting? Correct. Well, but what about in the marketplace, with, 9 to 5, careers? No, not that either. Like, I don't want to see women holding positions in the public square. I don't.
This religious ideology from these folks is dangerous. So let's look at the next clip and from him so we can explain some things a little further.
Are there leaders across these subgroups of white Christian nationalism that are tied to the former president directly or to his larger network?
Yes. For example, a group of New Apostolic Reformation leaders, apostles and prophets and others, were present at the White House a week before January 6th. Speaker Mike Johnson has direct ties to the New Apostolic Reformation. Speaker Mike Johnson is somebody who's sought the counsel and the friendship of Timothy Carcaden, who is a New Apostolic Reformation pastor from his home district in Shreveport, Louisiana. Timothy Carcaden is a close associate with Dutch Sheets. Dutch Sheets is perhaps the most ardent Trump supporter in the New Apostolic Reformation. He's the one who may have done the most of any Christian leader in the United States to mobilize folks to try to overturn the 2020 election and to make sure to attend January 6th. One of the most frightening things, I think, about Mike Johnson is the flag he hangs outside of his office, an Appeal to Heaven flag. The Appeal to Heaven flag goes back to the Revolutionary War, George Washington. It was inspired by John Locke. But over the last 10 years, the Appeal to Heaven flag has been popularized by Dutch Sheets. Dutch Sheets sees the Appeal to Heaven flag as a symbol of Christian revolution. If you look closely at January 6th, you will see dozens of Appeal to Heaven flags. It may have a long history, but in the contemporary context, it has a very specific meaning. So the fact that Mike Johnson has it hanging outside of his office, to me signifies how he understands his role as Speaker of the House in terms of being a Christian and being an American.
And as you see there, Mike Johnson and Dutch Sheets, we've talked about Dutch a little bit, one of the main ones. And as this guy talked about, hundreds, possibly thousands of these so-called evangelicals was at the Capitol. And Mike Johnson just brushes it off. He tried to take place in overthrowing things. And he's supposed to be Christians. But he's part of this nationalist mindset where they want to try to force their perverted version of Christianity onto the entire society. And some want to take it further into other parts of the world. And this is why it's dangerous, because this is not the same Jesus that's in the Gospels. And Dutch Sheets, this guy is a joke. He hangs out with his buddies on Flashpoint, Hank Kuhneman and Mike Lindell. And watch him here. This video, I made a video about him crying about being wrapped in the flag and asking God not to take his life. Take a look.
And I know at one point, and I know you're not supposed to let the flag touch the ground, but I was out of control, okay? I went to over in the corner and I grabbed a flag we had and I wrapped it around me and I laid on the floor. And I sobbed, and I knew I was crying with him. I knew we were crying together for this nation, Gene. And it became so intense that at one point I said, and I meant this. This was not hype, or I'm not trying to be sensational here. I said, God, please, you have to stop this. Because my heart is literally going to break and I'm going to die. And I said, please don't kill me. Now, sometimes you just get in a situation, you think God may not know what he's doing, But I was afraid. I was hurting here. I thought my heart is going to break. I'm going to die. So for 3.5 hours this happened, and here's what he said to me at one point. And I know this was God. And I could never, ever, ever be convinced this wasn't God. He said, I must have this nation. I must have this nation back.
That's Dutch sheets. How sickening. This guy's a joke. And anybody that sits there and subscribe to this, you need to move away from them. If they're a pastor, as I said it, if they preach nationalism, if they preach that this kingdom America must be saved, and that, the only way to do it is by force in some kind of way, and that you have to put these certain laws in place, Taliban style laws, and you only can do it through Donald Trump. That's the only way it can happen. If it doesn't happen that way, then it can't happen and things. And this is why it's shameful. This is why the people that were there, the one that, we've got black ones that support this nationalism, but not on the large scale because 8 out of 10 white evangelicals supported this stuff during the election time. So, but we still have a large portion of minorities that support this, preachers and them that are out there. I ain't gonna say large, but a percentage. It's not large. But Marcus Rogers, he was there at that Capitol.
They got 24/7 worship out here, and then they're over here marching to the Capitol. We'll get back with you in a minute. Love you, be blessed.
He was there because he subscribes to that type of ideology. He talks and wants to argue about, this agenda. They purposely tried to steal the election because they have a demonic agenda. That's what he always say, because they're trying to, that's his logic. And that's what's silly. Comes from a lot of these people. Their logic is, because they wanted to put these things in place, they stole the election. But when I stood up and made a video and said God told me that Biden would lose and Trump will win in 2020, and it came from God, and then they come with all of the excuses. And these are the same people. Some, they'll continue to argue that they try to make like, he got back in power, 2024. No, you said 2020. Then some of you said March of 2021, April of 2021. Many of them kept going month to month to month to month.
Living in like Mad Max, sort of a reenactment scene. Do you think that's going to happen, or what are your thoughts?
No, he's actually said 2022. And he said to me boldly and many different times, and I have actually given that many different times out, that I 100% will believe that everything is going to turn around in 2022. And it's going to get darker a little bit.
Does it have to do with President Trump coming back early?
I will, because that's been in other ones. That's been in other prophetic words. I would say 100% people need to stop talking about 2024. Stop it. Trump's coming back this year. He's coming back this year, without a shadow of a doubt. I know it because the Lord's told me. Now, do I know what's going on in his camp? Is that necessarily? No, the Lord has said he is coming back this year. A new government, the fraudulent government was going to come down.
And then when he got reelected in 2024, then it's like, see? No, it don't work like that. God is clear when he speaks. When God speaks, it's clear and it's going to be 100% right. It ain't going to be no shifty, shaky, you're all over the place. So these people that are pushing this nationalism have taken, and I said it, I've been saying it, the devil is using this form of perverted Christianity to destroy the testimony of the church. So you must stand firm. For those of you in the faith, show this video to others, because it's got these clips. Show the clips so that those that that are subscribing to this type of mindset and the Dutch sheets and these types of people, the Amanda Graces and all of these people. Troy Black himself, because he's a Christian nationalist as well. And here's the thing, and we'll get back into it. A whole lot of these people is racist. I mean, I have to say it, as I always tell you guys, I don't like to have to look like I'm trying to pull the race card, but we have to talk the truth about this religious stuff. These folks are racist. This movement is racist. There's a lot of racism behind it. And I'm going to prove my point. I already did the one video on it, But I'm going to prove the point even further, because I don't like making arguments without trying to prove it. You have to. You just can't, just like they try to sit there and say the election was stolen, but when all the courts showed there was no proof. But you don't make arguments without having a proof. So I'm going to show the proof that this movement is nothing but, as I showed in the previous video, it's pre-civil rights era, right during civil rights era. These are basically the same type mindset with many of these people, and it's dangerous. And we'll continue to call it out on this channel. We'll continue to give God the glory and talk about issues the church run away from. Take the devil head on, punch it right in between the chops. Evangelism for God, your channel. My name is Maurice Braxton. Until the next video, my friends, take care. God bless.